Guess what day it is?
Watering the houseplants day?
It's stinky watering the houseplants day.
My favorite.
They need it. They're putting on like all this extra sunlight. They're putting on all this growth, you know? It's hard. By the way, fish emulsion. I get this a few times a year from Azure Standard. It's great stuff. And you just add it to your water. It does smell like fish, but your houseplants will really love it. And I'm kind of going through. So I know as soon as the weather gets really nice, I'm gonna be gone. I'm not gonna be inside anymore, fiddling with all this stuff. I'm gonna wanna be outside and wanna be in the gardens. And it's kind of just got me thinking about the way that we care for, create spaces in our homes, take good care of them, the way that we sort of bring that life from outside, inside. You ever thought about this? You ever thought about this?
I have.
You have?
Yes.
What are the ways that you see that life inside?
Well, houseplants obviously is one way. We have flooring in our kitchen that kind of feels like an outdoor patio.
Sure.
And I've heard people mention when they come over that it's like, oh, it's like being outside on a patio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never heard anyone say that.
Yeah. I think
That's
cooking over a
interesting.
fire is a way to do that as
Inside?
well. Yeah, like we use our wood stove to cook sometimes. It kind
Yeah.
of has that quality to it.
Yeah,
Or even just having wood burning fires inside in the appropriate
that's
season.
true. That's
Kinda
true.
Brings the outside inside, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, or those, I don't know, I've been thinking about this more and more as we like not only just settle into our home, but settle into a certain lifestyle. It's not just about houseplants, right? As joyful as those are, it's these little pockets of life. Like when you walk into a room and you ask yourself, what's the life here? You know, it's maybe a bit easier to ask that for people who have children because there's life smeared everywhere all the time, right? Things they're not stale. They're not stagnant. They're just constantly moving around all the time because the kids are messing with them all the time, even if you wish that they would leave them alone. But, you know, yesterday we brought in our chicks for the year. So we've got 15 little chicks over there in the living room, dusty, dirty, noisy life. And it's just kind of got me thinking how that's almost in some ways what makes it feel like home. So anyway, I've got some plants to kind of pot on, to care for, to clean up a little bit, some of them to prune. I thought it'd be fun to go through and do that today. Think about those little pockets of life. So we obviously do a lot to cultivate this life-bringing energy into our home, and there's a lot that we do also to cultivate that life in our bodies and in the way that we nourish ourselves. So I would like to thank AG1 for sponsoring today's video.
I've been drinking AG1 consistently for a while now as a foundational nutrition drink. It fills in any gaps I could be missing in my normal diet. Even though all of our bodies are different, we all still have the same basic nutritional needs, and AG1 covers them all. It supports whole body health with prebiotics, probiotics, enzymes, magnesium, B vitamins, herbs, zinc, minerals. The list goes on. AG1 supports the brain, the gut, and immune health. 1 scoop of powder and 8 to 12 ounces of filtered water. It's very simple. To me, it's got a very drinkable, earthy, fruity taste. It's made up of 75 high-quality ingredients, all from whole food sources, that are combined to nourish all of the body's systems holistically. Visit the link below or scan the QR code to get your free welcome kit that includes the canister, shaker, a year's supply of vitamin D3K2, and 5 extra travel packs of AG1.
You know, I love most of our houseplants are in terracotta, and even terracotta sort of has its own life to it because it swells and it shrinks and it sort of starts to take on the patina of life, doesn't it? If you keep something in a certain pot, they sort of meld together into one. It has pores, it holds water. I don't know, it's, in a way, it feels like a living surface to me in so many ways. And, you know, the other thing about creating these, you know, green spaces, this life energy inside of your home is that naturally when you bring in life, you're going to bring in death and decay with it, right? So it's not just all these beautiful flowers on my shamrock. I love this plant so much. It's very old. But every week when I water this, I have to come through and clip off like all the little dead ones, right? If you had like a silk plant in here, something made of plastic, it would be so much cleaner. You wouldn't have to fertilize it. You wouldn't have to water it. You wouldn't have to pick the dead things off. You wouldn't have to try to understand it, to say, how do I keep you alive? How do I help you to thrive in this house? So in some ways, it's so much easier. But wouldn't you miss this? This weren't here?
Yeah, it has a different feel for sure than a silk plant. Even though I've toyed at trying to convince you to let me put fake grass in our yard.
I will never do that.
You shut that down pretty quick.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember back when we were first married and my very first business venture was opening up the silk flower store on Etsy. Do you remember that? It was 100 years ago.
Yep.
And I love it. I loved creating with silk flowers. The problem is I didn't enjoy putting them in my house because they just stayed the same. They stayed great. They were beautiful, but they just stayed the same. And there was something about that just didn't feel nearly as rewarding.
Didn't do it for you.
Didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Because I'm just a sucker for struggle? What is it?
No, you're human. And you need human things.
Human things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want it to thrive because I know how to care for it. Or I've done the work of taking care of it. We have a relationship, this plant and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's happy to get fertilized. This is one I'm really excited about. Come see. So I have, admittingly, a lot of houseplants. I just enjoy them. We have so many windows in our house, and I'm delighted by that because especially in this room, it's warm and it's full of light from the big windows. So this is a Chinese money plant, and I got this plant can you see this little teeny tiny one here? This little baby one?
Yep.
Okay, I got this plant when it was this big, and I got it for like $1 at a discount garden place. And now look at it. It's gotten so big, and it even sprouted its own little baby. If you're new to houseplants, or you're not really sure what you can keep alive, or you don't have a ton of light, these plants right here are the plants for you. This is called mother-in-law tongue. It's also called snake plant. I remember actually, before Stu and I were married, and actually after we were married too, I worked in a flower and garden house on and off for about a decade. And so that's where I got to know a lot of these houseplants. And we had this huge mother-in-law tongue plant in the shop. I think it was close to a decade old. Somebody bought it and the movers crashed in delivering it. Do you remember this? This was after we were married, and it destroyed the plant. And I just remember my boss being so upset because she's like, that was a decade's worth of growth. You can't get that back. But like, honestly, the meaner you are to these things, the happier they are. So I've had these plants for over 2 years. I've probably watered them half a dozen times. Isn't that crazy? But actually, one of the things I would like to do today, as we talk about cultivating that life and taking good care of it, is these aren't actually, look at this. They're just in the plastic pots that I bought them in at Lowe's. So I want to actually pot these. I thrifted these cement planters, you guys, for like $30. And then I came home and I saw them on Cherish for over $700, which seems ridiculous. They're concrete planters. But I just have been feeling the need to kind of take care of these. You can see some of the marks on them. This is from where our puppy chewed on them. Isn't that sad? Because they'll keep these leaves for a really, really long time. That's why I finally put them up onto the fireplace here. We're not really putting fires in here anymore. It's a little bit too warm. So we're going to take care of these a little bit. Sound good? I'm going to get the soil. I don't know why these things come to my mind after I vacuum. I clean the room. I'm like, you know what we should do today? We should pot these on. Only had them for 3 years. Today's the day. There's gonna be a spider in this. I just know it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I
Need
hate
help?
that. Yeah, you want to come? Look how tightly wound that is. I'm gonna feel so much better after these have some love.
Okay.
Let me go get a rock. We'll stick it on a rock so it has a little drainage, and then we can start putting dirt in around.
Okay.
When you think about houseplants, it's kind of funny. They're sort of like farm animals in a way, right? Because in order for them to thrive, you do have to understand them.
Yeah.
What do they like? Because they don't all like the same thing. If I treated my maidenhair ferns like I treated my snake plants, they would die. It's totally different. It's like a fish and a dog.
So we're gonna fill this with soil, new soil?
Yeah, this is just potting soil. And, it's going to give it more room to expand because you can see these little shoots coming off. And they'll grow little baby ones, and they just need room. They need room to thrive.
When do you know it's time to pot on?
Well, you saw when I lifted it out of the container how it was pretty root bound. There wasn't any more space for the roots to go, so they just go around and around and around. That's kind of how you know it's time. And honestly, I think some of it's just a common sense thing. Like when you look at a plant and you look at the size of its container, it should make sense proportionately. And then also you think about how long is it taking that to dry out.
Sure.
So like I typically will go through and water houseplants once a week. Every time I'll clean a room, right, run the vacuum through, water the plants, and it should be able to hold water for a week. It should be able to be fine with that. So but if you have to do it 2 or 3 times a week, it's most likely because the container's too small.
Woo.
Oh. It's a big one.
I told you there was one in there.
Scared me. I thought you killed him.
No, I didn't kill him.
Oh. He's happy as a clam in there.
Okay.
Okay.
You can come closer.
No, thank you.
Yeah, come on.
Look, I've gotten pretty good with spiders, just since really becoming a gardener, but I don't want them to scare me.
Wow.
Just like every living thing, even the toughest plants or the toughest living things, they still need a little bit of care. So they're going to be really happy with a little bit more space. They're going to be happy with just a little bit of fertilizer. And then another silly thing that is actually really helpful for houseplants and helping them to thrive is to wipe off their leaves, because houseplants, they breathe in the air. And so as they do that, naturally, dust and all kinds of house grime will settle on the leaves of your plant. And so this is just an old damp rag. So imagine like this is your car's air filter, and it's covered with all that gunk. It just can't pull in oxygen as easily. And so I don't do this very often, but I do like to come through when I'm tending to them and just look how dirty it is. Just give it a little wipe. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's going to be so happy. This is such a great time of year to do this too, because everything is just kind of stale after all the dust of the winter. Look how much shinier that is and greener. Things like to be nurtured, don't they?
Yeah.
Even if they've got a bit of a tough outer shell, like this one. You see how this one's so much darker than that one?
Yeah.
This one has been in the living room closer to the window, and that one that's a bit lighter has been in the dining room away from the sun. So
It's affected the
yeah,
chlorophyll.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's what it is inside the plants, right? Chlorophyll.
It's going to take them a little bit of time now that they're in their new containers to kind of straighten up. You see how they're a little bit loose? Because they've been so root bound, they don't have the strength to fully hold themselves up yet, but they'll grow and they'll be just fine. think they'll be happy. If you have a plant like this too, maybe in a really important part of your house, you really want to keep it looking nice, you can get leaf shine. We used to use this in the garden house all the time, and we would spray it on all the plants, especially if we were keeping, like we used to do really huge window boxes at clinics and hospitals and things like that. But this is like the home version of that. And you spray it on, and then you can just kind of wipe it around with a cloth or a paper towel. It sort of deflects the dust, keeps it from settling, makes it look nice and shiny. Look at that. They look like they're ready for spring and summer, don't they? Mm-hmm. I feel happy about this. Now I can head outside and not have guilt about my poor little houseplants. They're looking really good. But there's some in the bathroom that I need your help with, and they need a lot of help. Okay. So let's go there. All right. This pot's really fragile, but it's still so beautiful. Look at it.
Yeah.
So can you maybe help me to
Get it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get that
Yeah,
out.
well,
I mean, look at this thing. It's 6 feet tall.
I'll pick it up.
It's incredible. It might be a pot in a pot. But yeah, there it is. Good. Nope, we gotta get this out. Look at it. Look how badly root bound it is. I think we're gonna have to cut it out.
Okay.
Do you have a knife?
Yep. Okay.
Careful on the edge of that terracotta too, because it's pretty fragile.
What's the risk of
Don't cut your.
this? I mean, I don't want to cut myself, but is it okay to kind of like if you get some of the roots, is that going to be a problem?
No, it's not a problem at all. In fact, usually if you agitate roots, it sort of spurs them on to new growth.
Okay.
So it's okay.
Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, see, like I cut into that one.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
So you know when you see people plant something and they actually kind of like rub the outside of the roots and kind of shake it up and loosen it up a bit? That's actually what they're doing. They're kind of like saying, hey, wake up. Something's going on here.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So
What a cool root
maybe
system.
pick it up and peel it off.
Oh, what a mess. Looks like a bunch of worms, doesn't it?
With the roots?
Yeah.
There we go.
Should have done this a long time ago.
Okay.
Okay, babe. There you go. I'll tell you, having houseplants, it is kind of like having children. I mean, they're just messy, aren't they?
It can be. Yeah. They need you to clean up after them and feed them.
They
and
leak.
care for them.
It's like when you're potty training your kid and
They
there's
leave messes.
piddle puddles
Yeah.
all over
Except
the floor.
they don't change their behavior as they mature.
No, they actually get worse, don't they, the plants? Because all the messes are a little bit bigger. I actually do like pruning my houseplants. You know, it's like that part of homemaking where you're like keeping things tidy, keeping them in a way that works for you. Because your houseplants, any sort of life you bring in, it needs to work for you, right? It needs to like enhance. So this one's kind of chewed from where the cats have chewed it. This one here, this is the one that's constantly hitting me in the face when I'm taking a bath. So she's gonna go too. Look at this. This right here is a fresh new leaf that's coming. Isn't that amazing? And it'll just kind of slowly unfurl itself. This is incredible. I love this. One of the ways that it's really helpful to keep it a little tidier is to put drip trays underneath, especially terracotta. So I'm gonna have to go out to the greenhouse and try to find one for this pot, because if I just do it like this, it'll make a big old mess all over the floor. But there we go. That's a little bit tidier. See, should I take this one off since she's sort of creeping in on our dirty clothes hamper?
Okay.
You know, I think on a bad day, you have those moments where you're just like, why do I have anything that I have to take care of? But, I mean, really, that's what a homemaker is, right? You're taking care of things all the time. Dirty laundry, meals, budget, cleaning, houseplants, schooling, whatever it is. It's a big part of the role. Look at this leaf.
That's a big one.
Amazing.
That's the kind of leaf that as a caretaker you would need to fan me as you feed me grapes with.
I was thinking this is the kind of leaf that like you would use to cover yourself.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like you see all those really terrible illustrations of Adam and Eve in the garden trying to hide behind the leaves. This one would do the job.
That would cover some real estate for sure.
Cover some real estate. Yeah. Okay. She's good. She's looking nice. Look, when you come into a place like this, you feel transformed. What? Look at this guy. I'm going to have to hack him back a bit. This was a really, really, really common plant in the 70s. People called it the Swiss cheese plant. And it's incredible. It has its roots. Look at this. And I know you can't see this, but behind the bathtub, these are like, they're all sprawling on the floor. And I love it. However, there's a few leaves on here that are dead, so we'll take those off straight away. I'm gonna take off the ones that hit me in the face. Look at these. Aren't these incredible? Yeah. It's like you're in the jungle. It's amazing. I love it. I just hear Monty in my head. Monty Don. Don't be precious about it. There's no need to be precious about it. Doesn't work for you? Cut it off.
Probably need to get that one right there.
This one?
Yep.
It's a pretty
What
one
do you
though.
think? It is a pretty one, or just like reorient it maybe.
Yeah, so these you can actually manipulate a little bit. See? Mm-hmm. But this one's a bit, she's a little too far gone.
Okay.
But she is beautiful.
Yeah.
Wonder if we could get it to root out.
Give it a shot.
Well, I mean, that might be silly. We got a bunch of roots there. I wonder what would happen though. Maybe we can put some of these in a vase. You know, there is something about being in a green space that makes people really happy. Plants make people happy. Do you know that? It's scientific.
I know they make you happy.
Do they make you happy? Surely you're happy when you see a tree. Surely.
No,
Surely.
Yeah, they definitely they make me happy. And don't call me Shirley.